The reason you're so tired following Jesus is because you have mixed discipleship with salvation. You think your growth determines your standing before God. So you now think if I mess up too much, if I don't mature enough, if I struggle too much, then maybe I'm not really saved. And that's why you're exhausted, because everything you're doing is transactional. Every decision you're making is from a place of fear. It's from fight or flight mode. So now every decision has weight behind it. It has a reason. It has a transaction behind it, instead of you just doing it as a byproduct of what God has given you through Christ. 2:8 says, "For by grace we have been saved through faith. It is the gift of God." So if something is a gift, we do not maintain it, because the moment we have to maintain something to keep it, it is no longer a free gift. It is a transaction now. So Romans 4:5 says, "The one that worketh not, but believe on him that justifies the ungodly, his faith is counted for righteousness." So salvation was never about you. It was never about us. It was about what Jesus already finished for us. So now we can understand we don't have to maintain a thing, because if we had to maintain it, we would be going straight to hell. But that simple realization is going to be the very thing that makes you align yourself with God and actually have a strong spiritual life. People weaponize discipleship verses for salvation because they think sin is an action. They don't realize sin is an identity and it's a rebirth. Psalm 51:5 makes it clear that we were shaped in iniquity. Romans 5:12 makes it clear that by one man sin entered the world and death passed on to all by sin. So sin was an identity before it was an action. We produced sin because we were already sinners. We didn't sin and become more of sinners. So this is why we hear the reborn language so much in the Bible in John 3:5. Except a man be born again, he cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. So we were born into sin, but now we are reborn into righteousness. Why? Because of one man's obedience, many are made righteous. Romans 5:19. James 2:10 says, "Whosoever keeps the whole law but offends in one point is guilty of all." So if you mess up in one point, you are an offender of the whole law. So it's got to be one of two things. We're either all guilty or we're all justified by Christ. There's no levels to it. There's no I'm better than him. Well, no, he's not as bad as me. No. We are all falling short of the glory of God, and our only chance is if Jesus' blood justifies us. So does this mean we just sin however we want? No, it does not mean we sin however we want. It means that we don't fight sin to become righteous. We fight sin because we already are. We realize that sin is no longer a problem and no longer has dominion and power over us, and we are under the law. So does this mean we just sin it up and do whatever we want? Of course not. It means that we don't fight sin to become righteous. We fight sin because we already are. We understand one thing. Sin has no dominion over us. We are no longer under the law, but we are under grace. We understand that we are no longer sinners, actually, because remember, sin is an identity, not an action. And now we accept our righteous identity. Now, just like a sinner produced sinful actions, a righteous person is going to produce righteous actions because of alignment with the truth. 1 Corinthians 3, Paul talks about how believers can be very immature. We can be babes in Christ. Then later in that same chapter, he talks about how they will suffer loss, but they will still be saved. So we can be saved very immature, very bad at spiritual life, but still be having salvation and still going to heaven. Why? Because it was never about us. It was up to Jesus. We will lose reward. We may hurt other people in our life here. There's going to be consequences here. We will receive chastisement from God, but we will not lose our salvation. So stop tying obedience to your salvation. The moment you do that, obedience is actually going to become real. It's not going to feel transactional. It's not going to, dude. So stop tying obedience to your salvation. And the moment you do that, obedience will become real. It's not going to be transactional. It's not going to feel forced like it has been for you. It's going to be a byproduct of you realizing, wow, I deserved hell, but I received eternity with God forever and ever when I least deserved it because of his grace and his love for me. You're going to grow spiritually mature, take up your cross, and do all these things when you see that you are already secure. Secure people in Christ are going to grow. It is inevitable. But insecure people are going to perform, and they're only going to do things transactionally out of fear, and it will never transform them.